What's going on, guys? This is Slime Boss here, and welcome back to another episode of the Fairy Fountain Podcast. I am joined not by my usual co-host. Unfortunately, Hylian couldn't make it. He is feeling ill. But instead, we have the best streamer on Twitch. He's actually really fun. I met him on Good Vibes Gaming stream. It is the one, the only Rob Arman X.
What's going on, everyone?
How's it going?
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah, so, of course, we're still going to do the usual stuff, just sending our goodwill wishes to Hylian. And I think that's about does it for this intro. I know that's a little bit weird because I am not in my usual setup today. But we should be back in to normal next week.
Hey man, we got that kitchen set up going. We're kitchen buddies now. There you go.
I mean, my mom for some reason trying to play Jenga with the dishes.
You know what? It sounds fun though.
Yeah. All right. So we had last month was a lot more involved because we had E3. So I don't know if do you have anything to say particularly about E3? 2 months out. Just real quick since.
Overall, I think I don't want to say like the winners of E3, but like the only real takeaways for me were Microsoft and Nintendo. Everyone else was kind of like, I watched it. And like most people who are Final Fantasy fans, I was very let down by Square. So it's always a good time to be let down at E3. That's fun. Thanks, Square.
Yeah.
Love you.
I do have a question since you are a Final Fantasy fan. What exactly is what is not Dirge of Cerberus?
Strangers of Paradise.
Yes, that one.
So how do I explain this? So imagine do you remember DMC Devil May Cry, Bomberman Act Zero, like these attempts to bring Japanese IP and make them gritty and Western?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what this is, but for Final Fantasy. They're taking sort of the world of Final Fantasy 1 and making it like a gritty action game now. Which I guess in concept does sound hilarious, but they got a team that I'm not super fond of. Have you ever heard of Dissidia Final Fantasy?
Yeah, that's the fighting game, right?
Yeah, it's the fighting game. The PSP games are great. I love those games, but the console one that they made, I wasn't super big on. They tried to make it like an esport thing. It wasn't great, but they got that team to make this, and I'm like, you're already batting pretty low there. So it's clearly an attempt to like, I guess modernize, like to do something new with a spin-off, I guess, but like it just, I'm an action game guy. I love Bayonetta. I love Metal Gear Rising, Platinum Games, right? I fucking love their shit. But whatever the hell Koei Tecmo's doing with Final Fantasy Origins, Strangers of Paradise, I'm not Hondo on. I'm going to be real, so.
And the other one I wanted to mention too was the Pixel remasters, which there is a little bit we could talk about them in the news, but I looked at it, I'm like, what exactly is remastered about this? Like, it seemed like, I mean, obviously they updated the sprites a little bit, but they just seemed to make it like more simplistic. And, it also seemed like it would be like a collection of Final Fantasy games, which, that would be perfect on the Switch, like the collection of Mana or the collection of Saga. And apparently they're like releasing them, as individual games, first of all. And also, I don't know, it's just like, I mean, I want to play the older Final Fantasy games, and this seems to be the way to do it, but it seems like they're just making the weirdest decisions when it comes to this.
So that's the thing. I have a friend, her name's Goron Amber, also from Good Vibes Gaming. She adores the first Final Fantasy game. That is like easily in her top 3 games of all time. So what the Pixel remasters are doing, right, is they're not trying to create the greatest version of a game. They're making the original version but good. Like, so they're taking the NES game as a baseline and then just making that version in HD. You know what I mean?
Like quality of life things.
Yeah,
and just, like,
quality of life,
graphics.
making sure, translations better, spells work. That's an infamous problem with Final Fantasy 1 is some of the spells just don't function, or some of them do the opposite of what they were intended to do. Like, there's certain spells in the NES game that raise your opponent's evasion by 20 instead of decreasing it, which obviously it doesn't help you to raise it up. So, but yeah, you're right in that the pixel art is like simpler. It's they both do and don't have more detail to them. It's very strange. But yeah, the idea was like to create just a modern looking NES game, right? And for the most part, I think from what I've heard, I haven't played them myself yet, they've done a great job with it. Final Fantasy 1 is basically just a prettier version of the NES game, and they got Uematsu to come back and redo the soundtracks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so that it's a killer deal when you consider how much effort actually did go into them. But then, just like you said, it's not on Switch, and then the ugly fucking font that sucks. But stuff like that.
I've always wanted to play Final Fantasy on my phone.
Oh right, you don't you guys have phones?
Oh, I don't know. Let's play the best version of Chrono Trigger on your phone too.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. They brought that to PC and people were fuming. They were angry on that.
Yeah.
Understandably, I want to clear up. It's like, God, Square, just make someone else happy. Why do the Mana, not that these games don't deserve it, but Mana, Saga, and like all these, you're getting collections, remasters, PS4, Switch, PC. Like, why the fuck isn't Final Fantasy on there? That's your moneymaker.
Yeah.
That's how you ended your E3 conference, with the Final Fantasy game. It looked bad.
So, I guess we can just start getting into the actual news for this month.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with Skyward Sword is out, and it released in July. And at that same time, they also released like a quality of life trailer. We don't really need to talk about that, but I did want to get your opinions on Skyward Sword HD. For me, I've never played the original game, so this is a completely new experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
The motion controls, I don't really know if I'm there yet with them, but it definitely is a lot more fun than the button controls. Like, the button controls are, obviously the game was built around the motion controls, so the button controls are just kind of like iffy.
Yeah, it feels a little
like, yeah, but in terms of like all the quality of life things and the graphics, first of all, it looks beautiful. Something I really don't like about the Wii, so excluding Wind Waker, so like Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, they have this like weird like fog effect or like this smear effect in the original games that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing to be said for Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword HD. They just look really good, regardless of what people what people say. But also it's locked at 60, so that's great. 60 FPS.
Not even Wind Waker HD or Twilight Princess did that. Those aren't 60, surprisingly.
Really? Yeah. So I haven't gone back to it yet. I'm almost done with the prologue section of the game. But this is like, my third Zelda game. I played Link's Awakening on Switch. You're gonna hate me for this. I barely played Breath of the Wild. I don't really like it that much. Not because it's a bad game, because I respect it a lot, because it's done a lot for the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, the world's too big for my tiny brain.
Yeah.
I'm like one of those people that's a completionist, and I have to look everywhere. Like, I don't know why, what came over me, but I was like rolling and trying to hit every tree in Skyloft. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, trying to get rupees or something.
What game am I playing?
Yeah. And so like with Breath of the Wild, I'm just kind of procrastinating it because I'm just like the world is so big and there's so much to do.
It's
It kind
daunting.
of scares me a little bit.
Hmm.
But I'm almost done with Link's Awakening. I kind of played all of it and most of it in one sitting. I'm at the last level, but back to Skyward Sword. It's my third instance of a Zelda game, and I'm having a lot of fun so far. And what I've seen of, I watched a little bit of Chugaconroy's game to kind of get a sense of, how the games compare.
Hmm.
But I'm really enjoying myself. It's just I have to get adjusted to the motion controls.
Hmm. That's understandable. Real quick, I want to throw in there because you were like, "Oh, you're going to hate me for this." I don't like Breath of the Wild that much either, so you're not. You're in good company with me. So my girlfriend will get mad at you. I won't get mad at you. So, but
The Breath of the Wild isn't a bad game. It's just like,
yeah,
I prefer to go on an adventure rather than just explore the world for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
It's the same thing. I kind of get what you're saying.
A story.
Yeah.
Connected story.
Yeah, you want that narrative, and Breath of the Wild's narrative is
there we go.
Awful. It's just bad.
I mean, it's a good story, but it's just not there. It's like non-existent. You have to find it.
That's what I mean. Is like, well, that's the thing. Even when you find it, it's not like it's all flashbacks. It's nothing. Yeah. Like we already know everything that's happened. Nothing new. Technically speaking, nothing in the story actually happens until the end of the game. So
yeah.
But anyway, with Skyward Sword, I played a decent chunk of it back on the Wii, and I despise Skyward Sword. I hate it. I don't understand how anyone gets into it. Like I don't enjoy the dungeons. I don't enjoy. Well, let me clarify. I like the dungeons. I don't like revisiting dungeons. I don't like that idea.
Yeah, I think you only do that maybe like twice, but yeah, that's just not a good feature.
Yeah, it's not what I like in a Zelda game, right? But like, and then the motion controls, I despise those. I can't do motion controls. They never agree with me. And that's not to say, shitty waggle tech. Like I legitimately, I don't like. I would swing and Link would just not do what I want, and it happens with HD. We briefly mentioned this before the start of the show. I don't think it's worth $60 because it's a 10-year-old Wii game that looks a little prettier and has buttons now.
Yeah.
But what I'll probably end up doing is inevitably when my girlfriend moves in, I'll just play her copy of it. She's a massive Zelda fan, so if I don't buy a Zelda game, she'll buy the Zelda game. So I'll
So I think motion controls are a neat idea. They just like it says something about the longevity of the game, right? A recent video I kind of stumbled upon and I recommended was about the DS and how you basically, I mean, obviously we have the Wii U Virtual Console, but it's kind of hard to play DS games nowadays because of the dual screen factor. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with motion controls on the Wii. It's like it's one of those gimmicky things where it's just like, okay, well, it has to stay on the Wii, so you can't really, re-release it later on down the line, and it ruins that legacy factor. Mm-hmm. But I think that motion controls are neat because most consoles now, it's the Move. Can you use the Move on the PS5?
No, you can't. Any controller before PS5, you can't use it.
Okay. Well, anyway, my point is that motion controls are neat, but I think that they should be a supplement instead of for example, in Mario Kart, if you like to use tilt controls, you can use tilt controls, but the main game is built around button controls.
Exactly.
Or say, for example, with Mario Galaxy, the levels that require motion controls, like the ball or the fucking
the Stingray, right?
Yeah, the Stingray. Yeah, like those are optional levels that you don't have to play unless you want to get 100%.
Right.
So I think that because they're fun. I mean, honestly, for me personally, I think that those levels are fun, but not like a main sticking point for, Breath of the Wild. I mean, Skyward Sword.
Right.
You have to use the motion controls, and then with the Switch version and the button controls, it just feels wrong to play it without motion controls, and that's
And that's the thing is like the button controls were made for people like me who just can't do motion, right? But the problem is, from what I understand, you lose control of the camera. So you have to hold the
Yeah, that's
button.
true.
You have to hold the button to use your camera, and there's no option to swap the two functions. Like you can't have camera by default and sword with button. So it's like it's that classic Nintendo, like we gave you the option you wanted, but it's a monkey paw, so there's going to be some small downside to it that's really going to annoy you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's in like, and I agree with what you said, where motion controls being supplementary, just like a neat side thing, like that's totally cool. There are plenty, like Mario Galaxy, my favorite Mario platformer, hands down. Galaxy 1 is my favorite. And that's, even though that game is, has all the motion menus and the, like you said, the ball, the stingray, stuff like that. None of that bothers me enough because it was simple, right? I didn't need to be precise with, like slashing or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So, I think if they want to do, like, like you were saying, to bring legacy forward, they would need to start like remaking games. Like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks are never going to be playable the same way outside of the DS, right? So unless you totally did those again, like 100%, you're never going to get the same experience without the old hardware they don't sell anymore, So
Knowing Nintendo, they're gonna make you use fucking gyro and
yeah, right.
hold the R button. Play, those games are so. I don't know. Like, obviously, they wanted to make like a DS, Zelda game, which honestly, A Link Between Worlds did it a lot better than those two older games. But like, why use the touchscreen as a control option? Like, there's other games that do it too. Just why? Like, it's weird.
I think I don't know if you watch him at all. Arlo on YouTube, Puppet Guy.
Yeah, every once in a while, yeah.
So he did a video talking about how we haven't had a traditional, normal handheld 2D Zelda game since Minish Cap. That every Zelda game that's been top down since then has had motion controls, multiplayer, or a sequel or remake of some kind. Like there's no wholly original top down Zelda since Minish Cap. That's the last time we ever got a normal game like that. So I'm hoping, because Link's Awakening remake, that did really well, right? Like 5-6 millions.
Yeah.
Like hopefully that says to Nintendo, hey, look, the big epic experiences like Breath of the Wild, those are tight. Like, people like those games, no problem, right? Like I love Wind Waker to death. I'd play it 1,000 times over if I wanted to. But I would like them to, even if it's outsourced or something, make...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
Make another top-down Zelda that's wholly original, isn't Triforce Heroes, isn't Phantom Hourglass, isn't, like Link Between Worlds. And I love Link Between Worlds, for the record. I even love Phantom Hourglass, weirdly enough. But, I would like just normal video game, please.
Yeah. I honestly think that they should outsource it. Like, I mean, look at Metroid Dread. Like, that game is looking to be awesome, and it's made by Mercury Steam.
Mm-hmm.
And so I assume if they wanted to, they can get, like, is it Grezzo who did Link's Awakening remake?
Mm-hmm.
You could let Grezzo do it, or someone else.
Hopefully, if they do it, they clean up those visuals a little bit. That game chugged.
Yeah. That was weird because it looked good, but it really shouldn't have been running like that because it wasn't that, graphically intensive. Like,
right.
I don't know. They might have had some coding priority issues, but that was the weirdest thing about that game.
Yeah, it was super weird because that's the thing. That's what everyone was talking about, was how graphically weird it was. They weren't talking about, oh, it's a great Zelda, like mini Zelda experience, right? No, everyone was like, it's a $60 game, it runs like garbage. And it's like, oh, well, okay, great. And it's like, that's where they put the conversation. And it's like, oh, that's upsetting because Link's Awakening is cool, I like that game. Mm-hmm. I didn't play the remake, but,
Yeah. I want to say that that's the only game that I don't think is worth $60 just because of the fact that it's so short and it's basically a Game Boy game. And what you're paying for is essentially the dungeon maker, which is mediocre at best.
Yeah, right.
All right, so after that, the next bit of news is actually related to what we were just talking about, Metroid Dread. So
Hey.
over the last couple of weeks, we've been getting Metroid Dread reports, which seems like you know a lot about it. So if you want to take the lead on it, because I just know about them, I didn't really follow too much into it.
So essentially what they're doing is not like news updates about Metroid Dread, but it's more so like build up to explaining like where Metroid was and how it gets to Dread without spoiling anything, if that makes sense.
Like basically like Baby Metroid, what's the thing called? Parasite X. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Like here's some supplementary material to hype you up because this is all going to be important for Dread, right? So that's essentially what those reports are, and they're cool. I kind of wish they were in like a video format. That would be kind of cool. Like maybe have Samus or someone narrate them or something. That would have been a little cooler, a little more hype. But the idea is cool, and I like that. So I'm glad they're doing it. Actually, marketing a Metroid game, you could argue they're treating Metroid better for its anniversary than Zelda, even though they've never even said anything about Metroid's anniversary until like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like tweeted it, and it's like, oh, you remembered? What?
They said something.
Like,
and so they didn't say anything about Zelda's 35 until E3.
Yeah, and even then, it was like, here's a little thingy.
Game and Watch.
Yeah, right. Here's this piece of plastic. Happy anniversary, Zelda. Thanks for all that money.
Another thing, too. Metroid Other M isn't canon anymore.
Yay!
Although, hear me out for a second. I haven't played any of the Metroid games yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to buy Dread. It's going to be my first game.
Hell yeah.
I might go back and play Samus Returns but I have seen the entirety of the Metroid series, and so far I think that 2 is my favorite, just the structure. But because Super Metroid, I was like, wait, when I first watched it, I'm like, wait, you're going back to Zebes? This feels like another remake. Like there's just Zero Mission and Super, and so a lot of people are praising Super for how great it is, and I'm like, wait, it's the same game, the first Metroid, but I think there's probably different level design and stuff. But.
Oh yeah, the level design is totally different. So like even if in name it's the same, it is a different game, like structurally. So,
but I kind of liked what Other M was going for. Story wise, it's kind of bad. On like both Infusion and Other M, Samus just needs to just not talk at all ever. I think that ruins her character just by talking in general, in both games, in Fusion and in Other M. But personally, I think that Other M was going for something really cool, like the 3D, 2D thing and the shooters. And then, I watched Other M first before I got into the Prime series, and I'm just like, what is going on in Prime? Because it's like there's so much going on. You have the HUD over your head and stuff like that. And I think it's, obviously Prime is really cool in that way because it's trying to like a first-person shooter. But I don't know. But Other M just has a lot of neat ideas. It just wasn't executed well.
Right. And that's the thing. I don't know if you've ever seen, like, there are plenty of documentary videos on YouTube talking about Other M's development. And from what we understand, Other M came out exactly as the director wanted. Like this, he literally comes out and says, he's like, this is exactly what I wanted to make, and I would never change it. And it's like, damn, dude, good on you for sticking to your guns, but like, like that story, man. Like, because I've played Zero Mission, I played Super, and I played like 70% of Prime 3 when that came out, like when that was like brand new. So I don't like remember anything from it, right? And then
it's probably one of the weaker Prime games from what I've heard.
Yeah, generally speaking, I hear the Prime games like kind of like they start high, they go a little down with 2, and then they go slightly back up with 3, but it's like they're all good. It's just there's people prefer the first one, I guess, right? But but like, yo, I'm glad to hear you're getting into Dread. Like, I'm glad you're actually interested in it because needs all the sales it can get. Don't want a dead IP again, please.
And it looks, again, I'm praising a lot of recent games graphics, but it looks good. Like, there's a lot of small little details, and Samus Returns look good too. This is just that in HD.
Right.
And it looks great, and props to Mercury's team for doing that, especially after Fusion Force, or what is it? Federation Force.
Fusion Force. Fusion Force. You know what though? Fusion Force sounds tight, and I want that game. What's that game gonna be about?
It's about it should be about like the SAX, and it like forms like a team.
Oh, that'd be tight.
You play as the SAX, yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm down for that. Let's go.
All right, the next bit, I feel like we've been talking forever. I'm excited. There's a lot of cool things coming out very soon.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things is the Danganronpa Collection. I think it's called Danganronpa Decadence.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming out on December 3rd. So they just announced the release date. I've never played any of these things. I've been recently getting into like a lot of visual novel stuff, or that type of thing. I watched Nico B. If you know who that is, Nico B.
Can't say I've heard.
He's known for like his Kingdom Hearts playthroughs or his Danganronpa playthroughs. So he's the one who kind of got me into that stuff, and they're interesting. Obviously Doki Doki Literature Club is very popular, similar style. And they're, it just seems like kind of fun, something you relax to, just that type of thing. And I've never played the games before, and actually I'm not a really big PlayStation guy. So I'm just now starting to get into playing those games. So like Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. I'm slowly starting to accumulate games. Like I just recently bought a PS Vita because that has a huge library of games. Which literally like a week after I bought that's when they announced that they were closing the store, and I'm like, thank God.
I got time. Get in there.
And so, and it has like a huge library, so it's like a perfect starting point for me until I can, get a PS5 whenever that's available.
Right.
And this is even better now. I can get a couple of Final Fantasy games on the Switch, and I got the Danganronpa series.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty much it was on the PS Vita, and then they took that down, and I guess it's only exclusive to PS4 right now. And now since it's a collection, then I get all the games except for the weird shooter one.
Yep.
Which I don't think I want to play.
Fair. That's fair.
That sounds like a fan servicey game, and it's just like, why? But okay. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, back in 1998, no one was asking for a board game that was Mario themed, and, it turned out to be fun. Maybe it's a good game. I don't know. I never played it, so.
I feel like I'm going to anger everybody.
Yeah.
I don't like Mario Party.
I mean, that's fair. You don't have to. It's not for everyone. I get it. I just have like lots of funny stories about like how, for example, whenever me and my buddy Brett, we used to play local multiplayer, we would always set one Luigi AI to hard mode, and then we would set one DK AI to easy mode. And I kid you not, DK on easy mode in Mario Party 1 schooled us. He played the long game. Like, by the end of the game, He had 0 stars and just a shit ton of coins. And we're like, God, this guy's gonna fucking... Like, we all got 2 or 3 stars. We're chilling. No problem, right? This dude comes in, steals stars, and gets all the bonus stars and everything. He makes it out on top at the very end. And we're like... I was like, you're easy AI. How are you doing this? You played us, dude. Like,
I wonder how Luigi felt.
Luigi's like, fuck this. I'm making my spin-off. I'm going to the GameCube. Get out of here.
Granted, too, the only games I've played are 10, 8, and Island Tour. So, and I think the most fun I have with them are mainly the mini games.
Mm-hmm.
The boards are just kind of meh. But
Yeah, I feel you. Um,
all right.
you mentioned briefly Danganronpa. I just want to mention that briefly. I've never played Danganronpa. I've never really had an interest in it. Um, I'm a fan of Ace Attorney, and I hear like Danganronpa is like Ace Attorney, but with kids who murder each other.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and I was like, I mean, that's a cool premise, but like, I think I'm good. Like, I don't want to talk about killing kids all day. That's kind of fucked up. Maybe I'm the weirdo. Who knows? But you know, I'm happy for fans because I know for a fact people have been begging for those games to come to the West,
Yeah.
on Switch specifically, and we not only get them all, but it's in one bundle with like a bonus game included. So that's cool.
And I was literally earlier this year. I was like, okay, I was looking. What is it? The World Ends Club. I was looking at that, and it was like, they literally name dropped Danganronpa. They're like, made by the Danganronpa team. I'm like, where's Danganronpa? And then a few months later, there's my answer.
Yeah, right. You asked us, we did it, but we just didn't want to tell you because it was going to be cool.
All right, next up is they announced the Switch OLED, which happened at the very beginning of the month, but we were literally talking about E3 and Switch Pro rumors, like we always do. And, we were kind of beating around the bush with the Switch OLED because it happened that next month or, into this month. So I was just like, fuck it, we're talking about it. So we already talked about it, but I want to see if you can see your opinion on the Switch OLED.
I guess for me, it's kind of like, like cool for those who are going to use it. I'm not a handheld player. My hands cramp up on the Joy-Con, so I can't really do handheld for long periods of time. But, and plus, like, I'm like always near my TV anyway, so I'd rather just play on the big shiny HD TV and not itty bitty tiny little like. But so it's not for me, but it's cool. I'll probably just wait until Switch 2, whatever, right? Like a next iteration of the system proper. So are you picking up an OLED or?
I am one of those people that has to buy every model of things. Like in my closet right now, I have like 2 Game Boy Advance SPs, original Game Boy Advance. I have an original Game Boy. Don't have a micro yet because that's like $800.
What?
But but I have every model of DS, every model of 3DS, and currently I have original Switch, the version 2, the one with the better battery life, and which is the Animal Crossing one. I just kind of wanted to get the special edition, and then a Pokemon Sword and Shield Switch Lite. And I do use all of them. Like my old Switch, I just transfer all the stuff to the new Switch, and then I hacked that Switch. Like I have like mods and stuff on there.
Hey,
and then
that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Portable games, yeah. And I play all my portable games on the Switch Lite. So like I played Link's Awakening on there, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now I was really hoping we'll talk about this next month. I'll talk about this next month. But the Pokemon Presents, I was like, all right, this is where they announced the Pokemon Special Edition Switch OLED, so I can just, get that one.
Oof.
And then they announced another Switch Lite. I'm like,
why?
If it looked bad, yeah. And I'm like, if it looked bad, then okay, I don't have to get it because it's a Switch Lite. I already have one. It looks so good. And
You're right. It's pretty as fuck.
Especially because it's a callback to the original one, and it's an all black model, and it's just it's so good. And again, with the Switch OLED, like the white one looks really good too. Looks like Samus, or it looks like a Metroid Dread Switch almost.
Yeah, right. Like what are they called? The Emmys, right?
The Emmys.
It has like their color scheme on it, right? So super dope looking. And yeah, you were right when they announced that Diamond and Pearl remake Switch Lite. I was like, damn, that looks sick as fuck. But like, I was like,
yeah,
I'm not someone who could justify just buying like special editions like that, because if I already have what is the best model at the moment, I don't really feel the need to buy another one. I did buy the better battery life Switch, but that was because my roommate had his Switch stolen, so I just moved my old one to him, and so it kind of worked out like that, right? And my job at the time had me driving around everywhere, so while I'm sitting in parking lots waiting for calls to come in, I would just pull out the Switch, right? So, but then eventually I'm just like, the TV's better. So
that's why I was like, please make a Switch OLED special edition, so it's like, I can get a cool looking Switch rather than having to buy 2 Switch lights. Like,
right.
And obviously, and the problem is that, obviously I wouldn't buy it if it didn't look good, like whether or not it was Pokemon or not, but it looks too good to like pass up.
Right.
Especially because it's like limited edition.
Oh yeah.
That's the fucking Nintendo way, of course.
Yeah.
Or like any way you can spend extra money. Of course, this is like the last thing to buy on my list. First thing is a computer, then a PS5, but this is like the last thing on my list. But it still looks too good. Anyway, next up, your name is Rob Arman X, so you're obviously a Mega Man fan, right?
No! Why does everyone say that? Why does everyone say that? I'm not a Mega Man fan. I played 2 games.
I feel stupid.
No, you should have seen the reaction when Ash found out about it. He was. I could go back. I could try and find screenshots. Do you edit these videos after the fact?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna try and send you screenshots of this. When Ash found out that Arman X is not a Mega Man reference, he just what?
I'm sure it's on GBGO out of context, but
no. It was it was in the Discord channel, so it's all text.
Oh, okay.
It's all text.
Oh.
So I could search back for it now, but it
wow.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not gonna get into my whole name origin, but just for clarity, I've played Mega Man. I've played a bunch of Mega Man games, but the only ones I've beaten are X4 and Legends 1. Those are the only 2 games I've beaten.
Okay.
So
I'm not a Mega Man fan really either, but I want to be because it looks really cool. Like, I bought all the Legacy collection because it's almost like perfect for someone to get into it because it's all the games right there for you. And so I plan on streaming it eventually.
Oh, hell yeah.
But the piece of news is Mega Man X5 is finally releasing in the West, which the reason why I wanted to cover it is because isn't it like a huge like crossover mobile game type thing for Mega Man? So that's why I thought it was cool. Like when I heard about it initially from GBG, I was like, this is a really cool premise. Why is it not in the West? And lo and behold, there it is.
Yeah. I know it's essentially like a big crossover game for Mega Man, but it's it's like a gacha game, right? So
yeah.
I know 112 enjoys it. They're a huge Mega Man fan.
Yeah.
So, it's cool it got a Western release, I don't think that's going to be the game to get me, into Mega Man, like, fully, so... But, I appreciate when companies finally localize their shit after so long, so... Localize more games, Atlas. I'm getting mad at you now.
Wait. What is Atlas missing?
Oh, no. Atlas just takes forever because their Japanese division sucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's all localization stuff.
All right. Next up is the best piece of news, obviously, is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is coming.
Yes!
And it looks better than Smash Ultimate.
Oh, damn! What?
No. After Steve being in Smash, there's no way that game's gonna there's no other game that can top it. After Steve.
Right.
But no, this game is looking really fun. Rollback netcode, just a lot of features packed in this game. And the only thing that's bad, that's really, well, first of all, off-putting in some circumstances, but just overall weak is the roster. Like, obviously, I shouldn't expect too much, especially coming off of Ultimate.
Yeah, right.
With the fucking massive roster, but the picks in this, like, who the fuck is Toast Man? I don't know who that is.
So Powdered Toast Man. I had to look this up. Powdered Toast Man's from Ren and Stimpy.
Why not put Ren and Stimpy then? I don't know who this is.
If you check the box art, their silhouettes are there.
Oh, okay, cool.
So they're coming.
But
why did they open with Powdered Toast Man? That'd be like opening.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be like opening with Sandy Cheeks and not SpongeBob. Oh wait, they did that in the trailer. Sandy was in the trailer before SpongeBob was. Never mind, I fucked up.
But the off-putting part about this is like they only put like 2 turtles. Where are the other 2? Like,
okay, I think that's just a starting lineup though. Like,
okay,
for announcements.
But I don't think that they planned on having DLC until everyone was like hyping this game up, and they're like, sure, we could do it DLC. Sounds like fun.
I think they do have more.
This becomes the next Smash Bros with speculation and stuff.
Yes. So I think the initial trailer. So here's my theory on what happened, and shout outs to my friend Cassidy who like kind of pointed me towards this. So the theory was that they were going to announce this game just with the trailer drop, no big deal, right? Like, oh, cute Nickelodeon fighting game, they thought. And then the internet got a hold of it and just ran with it, right? Like they wanted more of this and how hype it looked, right? And then and so the theory is they were not expecting this kind of attention, very positive attention. So I think they changed what they were doing for marketing. I think the original idea was release a trailer and then later do a second one maybe, and then that's it, right? Just the game comes out, people who like it buy it, and that's it, right? But because of the immense reaction to it, I think they're going to do actual character reveals, like actual Smash, like Smash style, like you tune into Gamescom and the next big character's coming to Nick All-Stars. Like, I think that's what they're planning, or they're actually going to do DLC for the game and really like expand this to be even greater. So we get, I mean, the box art has silhouettes so we know who else is in the game. Like we know Korra's in there, Aang is in there, Ren and Stimpy, Cat Dog, we're pretty sure are in there. Like
it's gonna be an interesting moveset.
Right. So there's a lot of cool character picks in there, right? Obviously, the babies from Rugrats are not going to be in there because I don't think anyone wants to beat the shit out of babies. That's fucked up. Like,
Reptar's a good choice, though.
But Reptar is like a good, suitable replacement for that. Like, oh look, it's not the babies; it's a fake dinosaur.
Whose dad is in the game?
Nigel Thornberry's in the game.
Yeah, like why? Like the choices are out of like left field.
I love it, dude. I love Nigel. He's a homie.
That's when you do put the babies in the game. You just have like a ice or like a pyramid or ice climber situation where you play as all the babies.
Don't start comparing Rugrats to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I love Rugrats. Don't insult my babies. But yeah, like Nick All-Stars looks tight. I hope it comes out and it's actually really good. I'm planning on I'm probably gonna get it on PC or Xbox, depending on like where my friends are buying it. And I don't know. I hope it's a good game. It looks fun so far, and I hope there's a new trailer soon because I would like to see more from it.
Does it confirm crossplay or no?
I think they said no. I'm pretty sure they said no.
Well, I assume that they're probably going to add it later down the line since it got so popular.
Yeah, maybe.
But the only any character hopes that you want, because I personally want Jimmy and Timmy, obviously.
Jimmy and Timmy would be good picks. I think of the unconfirmed, like the characters that haven't been like seen or speculated about, I would love to see XJ9. Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot. Because like
good one.
We have a lot of early 90s Nickelodeon, we have a lot of later Nickelodeon, but there's not a lot of in the middle 2000s stuff. And
that's my favorite era.
Exactly. And that's where, Timmy, Jimmy, Danny Phantom, like Jenny, like that's where all of them kind of fit in better, right? So
yeah,
I'm kind of hoping they just get a couple more characters from that era, because that's when I really got into Nickelodeon. I was really hoping for Kappa Mikey, but apparently they don't own the rights to that show anymore, and I'm upset.
Kappa Mikey.
Yeah, exactly. Kappa Mikey. Right, exactly. So it was
apparently Johnny Test was supposed to be on Nick too, but
oh well, that fucked up for them because it went to Kids WB instead. But Kappa Mikey was it was about a guy who wins like a contest to be the star of a Super Sentai show.
Okay.
And so the whole show is he's drawn in like traditional American animation where it's like kind of flash, like, right? Like with the thick outlines and everything. But everyone else has like an anime aesthetic to them. Like, and it's like, you know, it's a comedy show. It's like a parody of, you know, various anime and stuff like that. It's very funny. But it only aired on Nicktoons, which was like a premium channel. You had to pay for that separately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and then this won't happen, but my other hope, Nicktoons Network, for a brief time, had Ape Escape shorts.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And they're all on YouTube, by the way. There's a whole YouTube channel just with all the episodes on there. You can go check it out. But that's a Sony
on,
property.
Like, random cartoons?
Yeah, it's just like little 5-minute skits. But yeah, I would love if
loud. I want Chalk Zone.
Yo, where's Rudy? Give me Rudy.
Like I really don't like modern Nick. But there's too much. It's oversaturated in All Stars. We need more classic characters.
Yeah, for sure. So far, so good.
I think it comes out October 3rd, so pretty soon.
Oh yeah,
definitely very excited.
Yeah.
Next up is the Switch Pro is finally here. No, it's the Steam Deck. I have nothing to say. I literally have no words.
Fair.
Okay, I guess.
So, my roommate and I want one because, well, mostly him, but I do want one too because the idea of just taking my PC games, slapping them in a dock, and it's on my TV like that.
I heard that there isn't a TV mode.
You have to buy it separately.
Oh, okay. I was like, I heard that they just didn't have it.
Yeah, it's not when you have to buy the dock separate of the device itself. And people are saying like, "Oh, why are you trying to compete with the Switch?" Like, obviously, it's a portable that can play video games, but my phone isn't competing with the Switch, right? And that can play games, and that's portable, right? Like, this is just another way for people who have a Steam library to play their games. That's all it is. It's extra.
My only problem is that obviously I like controller-based controls. I'm not really a keyboard guy, but I just feel like for a lot of PC games that are not like cross-platform, that they're kind of meant to be played with keyboard controls, and it's like really hard to compensate. Like, for example, obviously Minecraft on like the Bedrock editions, they're obviously suited for controller support.
Right.
But if you try to open Minecraft with, you know, Steam controller, joypad, whatever, I don't know what the feature's called, but you can open Minecraft through Steam and play it with a controller.
Yeah.
And it's all like fucked up. Like, it's like, it wasn't meant to be played on a controller, even though it's the exact same game as the Bedrock version. And the same thing could be said for, like, you know, many other games. It's just like,
right. And that's the thing, right? Is that's why Valve has you've seen pictures of it, right? So it has the sticks and it has the buttons, but it has those like touchpad things, and those are meant to supplement kind of what mice do.
yeah.
And like you said, you know, a lot of games is, even if it's multi-platform, the PC version is made with a PC keyboard and mouse in mind. But I don't know, like, you know, if like they have in the video, right? Like Jedi Fallen Order or something. You want to slap that on a portable and just go to town with it? Like, you could that's a game that was probably made with consoles in mind, right? So like you're kind of good there. But like you said, if you try to play, you know, PC Minecraft on that thing, that's going to be rough, right? It's going to look it's going to be janky, right, to control and stuff. So I think there is a market for it. But like I said, it's supplementary. It's just meant to enhance your PC experience. Do, like I just got my new PC today. That's what I'm recording on, right? And this thing outclasses the shit out of whatever the fuck Valve is selling me. But but like the regular Switch, I have to understand that the portability is the selling point, and being able to take Persona 4 Golden wherever I want, that's kind of hype. I can do that and not have it be the Vita version, which runs and looks like crap comparatively. So,
Atlas, why are you releasing Shin Megami Tensei 5 and not, the entirety of the Persona series? Like, please.
Okay, to be
is
fair,
it really that hard?
To be fair, SMT 5 is a very big deal. Like,
true, but
like, I'm the Persona guy, but let the SMT fans get their game. We've had a couple years of games just for us. Let SMT fans can have something.
There's like a few series of games that are just like, why are they not on Switch? Two of the most predominant series are Persona and Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
They both need to somehow be on Switch, and they're okay. So let's play some rhythm game. Thank you. And
thanks.
Watch. I bet you in a few years they're gonna be like, here guys, you wanted Persona on the Switch, right? Here's Persona 5 Dancing.
Yeah, right. They're gonna troll us so hard with that. Like, I know it's coming. Like, I'm just waiting for the day a Nintendo Direct boots up and they're like, groove out with the Phantom Thieves coming to Nintendo Switch, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Like a Persona Q port or something.
Oh god, no. Like, even better, they don't even recreate the game to look nice on Switch. It's just the two 3DS screens smushed onto one.
No, but like I said, I'm trying to go back and play some older PlayStation games, and one of those being Persona. And obviously I have Golden and 3 on the Vita, excuse me, with voice crack. Golden and 3 on the Vita, but I want to play it on Switch, and same thing for Kingdom Hearts, and it's just they're not giving me that option, especially after they wanted to close the store.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't have been able to play it ever.
Right. And that's the thing.
And I know that Royal definitely won't be able to run on Switch, but they could at least get 5. Or
it could totally run on Switch.
Okay. Or they can make a Persona 5 portable, maybe.
Yeah, right. Like a scaled down version, but yeah. Like, I feel you. But yeah, trust me, as a Persona fan, you could get me talking for literally hours about how dumb of a company Atlus is and how much they need to port these games to other platforms. But I don't know, man. I feel like there's going to come a point where Sega is just like, wait a minute. Persona 4 Golden, just alone, on Steam, sold over 1 million copies and counting.
Yeah.
Why are we not putting this shit elsewhere, Atlus? And Sega owns them, so they get a say in hey, that Persona thing needs to go somewhere else. Let's keep that moving, right? And a lot of people want to say, oh, well, it's because Sony has a deal with them. Sony does not have a deal with the Atlus. Sony doesn't care about Japan.
Megami Tensei 5, perfect example.
Right, exactly. People for the longest time would have told me, oh, Sony has a deal with Shin Megami Tensei. They would never put Shin Megami Tensei 4 on anything but PlayStation. And then it shows up on 3DS. Oh, okay, well, it was just one time. And then a sequel to that shows up on 3DS. And then SMT 5 is announced as a Switch exclusive with funding from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, see? They talk about their funding with SMT because that's where they talk about their funding. Sony's never had a part of it. It's just Atlus being stupid.
Well, don't forget, technically, Atlus started on Nintendo.
Exactly.
Jack Bros on the Virtual Boy.
Yes! The first SMT game we ever got, baby. Jack Bros.
Oh, another thing, too, since you are a Persona guy.
Mm-hmm.
I swear I saw in the this SMT5 trailer, because most of the monsters are the same across both games, right? Or the shadows or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
There was one, I swear, I was like, it said Kate Sith, and I'm like, isn't that a party member in Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, so you're thinking of Kate Sheath, and Kate Sheath is a mystical creature. Like, that's like a real life thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's from
But
mythology.
it's the same, it literally looks the same, and it's spelled the same, too. It's not like a Pokemon where it's based on...
Yeah, Kate Sheath, CAIT space SITH, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an actual mythological creature. That's not
Okay.
Persona and like demons and stuff like that, like from that series. They're all based on different mythologies and stuff. Like Lucifer, there's what's I forget what he's called in the series, but Jesus is a persona you can summon. Like they change his name. They don't just call him that. But like God is in Yahweh is in Shin Megami Tensei. He is a character in that series. Like so they pull from all kinds of religions, like Irish folklore and the like Doolahans and ghouls and all this kind of stuff.
Monster.
Huh?
The giant dick monster.
Mara, the god of fertility, the giant green tentacle penis monster that shoots lightning out of the tip while riding a golden chariot.
I did not know that, but it's just like I looked at it and I was like, wait, that's the exact same thing because like Jack Bros is unique and obviously the other demons and stuff, they're based on mythological things like Pokemon, for example, which I'm more acquainted with.
Right.
But they're based off of it. They're not literally the thing.
Yeah. Well, I get. Well, that's the thing. You mentioned Jack Bros. Jack Frost is a mythological thing. That's not like a character Atlas made, right? So.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah.
All right. Next up is the weakest bit of news, and that is that they announced some new SNES games. I did not even care to list them off because they're not even important. I think like most of them are based on Jelly, if I'm not mistaken. It's like there's a lot of missed opportunities here, especially because they are localizing some games through this. They're localizing some games. But they're just missing the mark. They're here, give you a Jelly puzzle game instead of, I don't know, Earthbound, which is on the SNES Classic. Like, it's your own property. Like, come on, it shouldn't be that hard. Like, or Donkey Kong Country. Like, it took them like a year to get it out. Like, I understand maybe if they're waiting a little bit to do Game Boy Advance, maybe we'll see it at this next Direct. It is coming, 100%. But it's just, like, come on.
Yeah.
I feel like we talk about this every few months on this show, and it's always disappointing. Like, we started at the beginning of this year, we have yet to have an actually exciting SNES game.
Yeah, I feel you. And see, that's the thing is, like, whenever they do these, like, new SNES games coming, the only thing that treads on Twitter is the word Earthbound. And it's like...
Or, I don't know, I mean... Super Mario RPG is a little bit harder to get, but like Earthbound is your own fucking property. Like, come on.
Yeah. I see, and that's the thing is like once we get those games, everyone's just gonna be like, okay, when's the next thing? Oh, when's the next thing? When's the next thing? So like we're always gonna be asking for more things, but like in terms of SNES, Earthbound and Mario RPG are like the only two games I like really go back to all the time. And it's like I get why you're not putting Final Fantasy on there. I get why you're not putting Chrono Trigger on there. I get why you're not putting this, why you're not putting that. Like,
but
like
Square Enix can always just port those separately, which they are doing.
Right, that's what I'm saying is like we're never going to get games like Mega Man X. We're never going to get games like Castlevania because those companies are going to sell those because that's going to net them a profit. Nintendo profit is from the NSO service. But if you don't add to the service, I'm not going to pay for it.
And there's so much potential with that. That's like RSEC. It's like it's the only like official way to play these classic games online. But imagine if you had bigger experiences N64 games, Game Boy Advance games. You know, I would kill to play, Pokemon Ruby online. You know how crazy that would be? Or hell, Mario Party. Like, these are like perfect money making ideas. Hell, they could raise the price of, NSO $5 if, if it was that cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
These are great ideas. They're just leaving on the table.
Right. See, and that's the thing.
Especially because now the Wii U is still viable. Like, there's a reason to own a Wii U still. Except maybe at the beginning of next year because of the payment system. But regardless, it has a better library than the Switch NSO does, or Virtual Console at least.
Right. And that's the thing is, like, I'm one of the weirdos who hates the Virtual Console because I hate piecemeal, and I hate how expensive those games are because they are old as hell. Like, I should not be paying $5 for Mario 1. That game takes no effort to port to new consoles. Like, I guarantee you 100% that game took Nintendo so little money to port. And that's why they just put it in the NSO service. Like, do I appreciate owning the games? Yes. But I wish we had kind of like a hybrid system, right? Where, like, for example, we have NSO, and you're getting your Mario, your fucking Metroids and all this stuff, right? But maybe you localize some Fire Emblem games. $5, throw it up on the service, have fun with that. It's a premium product, but we translated it from the ground up for this service. That's why we're, and then maybe Earthbound, like, hey, there's like a rights issue with like the music or something, and that's why we can't just throw it up on the service or something, right? Like, so we have to charge $2 or $3 for it because that money is going to pay for a licensing fee, right? So maybe it's something like that. I would like a combination of the two things because I'm tired of buying my games over and over from Nintendo. Like, I had to do it on the Wii, and then I had to pay to upgrade to Wii U, and then and the emulator is worse on Wii U than it was on Wii. Yeah. Like,
my thing is that, like, obviously the prices are a little bit ridiculous, but the Switch version, obviously the online capabilities is very cool. The reverse and the save data, the emulation on the Switch is a lot better. But also at the same time, I like to sort of pick and choose my games. Like, I don't need fucking jelly blobs. Like, I just want to have, or hell, they could release all these games on the service, but they only need one application. We don't need two for SNES and NES, and I don't need to see jelly blob on my screen. I want to, like, bookmark it or maybe have a folder of just the Mario games or just the Zelda games or whatever. And, and so I just like having, like you said, a perfect meeting point between the two.
Like, call it a Nintendo Classics app, right? And you boot it up, and there's just the menu that's like, hey, here's NES games, here's SNES games, and then, like, here's a curated selection of, like, Mario's greatest hits, Zelda greatest hits, or whatever, right? Like, or featured game of the month, and it's fucking Jelly Boy. I don't know. like,
Nintendo, like, hates the word search, apparently, because you can't search Mario Maker levels. You can't search NES games, especially now because there are a lot more on the service. Like, you can't find the games that you're looking for unless you organize it, which who the fuck wants to do that except for me because I have OCD.
Fair.
Because they're not giving me the option to bookmark the games that I want.
Exactly.
And, friend codes. Like, we don't need codes. Just let me type RMNX into like a search bar.
Hey, everyone should do that. But
on YouTube, not on the Switch.
Yeah, exactly. Don't put it on the Switch because I'm not going to show up on the Switch. Maybe I'll make a game someday, but it won't be on the Switch eShop probably. I'm not. By the time I do that, the Switch is long gone. but yeah, man. I don't know. I just every company does legacy differently. And in Sony's case, they don't do it, which sucks. And in Microsoft's case, it's a problem with programming, right? Like, they have to manually add games to the backwards compatibility, right? Like, that isn't just... So with that one, I understand it's, more difficult for them to just be like, But with Nintendo, you got so much legacy that this shit should be... like, What if like every 3 weeks we just got a new game on the service, and like every time it was a fucking banger, right? Like
at least one, maybe just one.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Is like, what if we started the NSO service and it was just the classics, right? Like just the classics app where it's NES, SNES, Game Boy Advance. Like we're not even going to talk about N64 and how much I want that in my life right now. But let's say you start with like 2 games from each system, and then every couple weeks, just one new game. Just one new game. Just a steady, slow stream of cool ass games. But no, instead we get, 2 months later, here's Jelly Boy and Claymates. We couldn't come up with anything else. I'm sorry. Please don't tweet about Earthbound.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for the next game update trailer, and it just ends with the phrase, "Stop asking about Earthbound."
It's like soccer. It's like, please stop. Please don't ask me for anything ever again.
No, right. Now it's Doug Bowser. Never ask me to port anything ever again.
Yeah. But again, I feel like Sony and PlayStation, or how the fuck did I manage that?
I mean, it is both.
Sony and Nintendo are like the two companies that you really would care for. Their older properties. Microsoft, not so much.
They got like, some cool stuff,
Halo,
but like all
stuff,
the important ones are already here. Like we got all the
like
Halo games.
For example, it's all in one package. Or I don't know. Let's just say Banjo-Kazooie, for example. That's an N64 game. That kind of goes back into the Nintendo legacy.
Right.
And Sony and PlayStation. How did I do that again? Sony and Nintendo are the ones you're really looking for with this legacy content.
Oh yeah.
And
neither are really
both
delivering.
Both of them are doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo's doing it better, but they're both doing it wrong.
Exactly. Like Sony just needs to pull their head out of their ass, and they need to do this classic apps thing. Get me Ape Escape. Get me fucking Jack and Daxter.
Oh, it doesn't matter. No one cares about old games.
Fuck Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan sucks. I'll say that live on camera every time someone asks me to. Fuck Jim Ryan. I hate him.
Hey, you know what who else I would say fuck to? Which is our next topic. Fuck Activision Blizzard.
Hey! Yeah,
they make good games, but just why? I love Call of Duty. I don't like the recent games. Like, obviously, what's that Battle Royale one called?
Warzone?
I keep forgetting what it's called. Warzone, yeah. I like Warzone. It's a cool idea. I'm personally a Black Ops fan. I did not like 4 or Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I like your games. But stop. We don't need every single one of your subsidiaries working on fucking Warzone. We don't need that, first of all. Second, like Toys for Bob.
What?
Why?
Yeah.
And also, whatever the fuck you're doing behind the scenes, behind closed doors, fuck you there as well. But
yeah, for real.
You get your shit in order, please. Like, you make good games. Just stop
making
acting
them
like you're 5.
That's the thing is like even how do I want to word this right? First of all, fuck them. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm like, there were some Activision Blizzard games I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to the Diablo 2 remake because I've never played Diablo, but people rave about Diablo 2. But now I don't have an interest in it because I know that when I buy my copy, or when I was going to buy my copy of it, it was going to go pay someone who was just going to let someone else sexually harass and hurt someone mentally, right? So even if the games are good, I don't feel the need to go buy them now. Like, I'm like, you know what? I got dozens of other games in my backlog that need playing. I feel like I'll survive without the 2 or 3 games Activision puts out every year, right? Like,
hey, Activision, I don't like Fortnite, and I also don't like Epic Games because they make some weird decisions. But I honestly am going to go play Fortnite instead of fucking Warzone now because of what you're doing.
Yeah, go for it, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, if they aren't fucking up with business decisions, like, the company who remade the entirety of our Crash IP, put them on Warzone. Like, why?
You have talent there. I don't know if are Toys for Bob also in the same group of the harassment stuff, or is that just higher ups?
It was, from what I understand, it's just in general at Activision, but it was most prominent in Blizzard.
Okay, so it's not like
but it's
we can't just
across.
point fingers at Toys for Bob. We could praise Toys for Bob just like.
I mean, I suppose so, but I guess the it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, all the money's going to Bobby Kotick anyway. He's a piece of shit. But
my point is that you have talent here and you're just throwing it away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. You're throwing it away by putting them on shitty projects, and then you're harming the ones that are just trying to do their job, right? Like and someone even lost their life over this shit, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's unbelievable, dude. Like, they can't win as a business, and they certainly ain't winning in customer satisfaction or employee satisfaction. I'm glad they're getting sued, dude. The state of California knows what's up. Like,
All right, moving on. Let's talk about something a little bit more light. Oh, I forgot to mention about the Pixel remasters. They are coming to other consoles. Oh,
what?
Good, luckily.
Wait, what?
I saw on I saw on one of GBG's videos that Pixel Remaster is coming to other consoles just later.
What? Where?
Let me check.
I missed that bit of news. Where's that at?
PSA, the new Pixel Remaster. Font in the Western versions is horrid. Maybe I misread it. Saying, that was
Square Enix did put out a statement saying that a console version depends on demand.
Okay, here it was one of the headlines of that episode. Square Enix have released the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Q&A. Aside from revealing various details about the remasters, it claims that you're right.
Oh,
they may if there's a demand, they may.
Well, guess what? There's a demand. Do it. I'll buy it.
Here you go. All right. Next up is Netflix says they want to make a live action Pokemon game, which no, not. Detective Pikachu was good, but I don't need my pedophiles making a live action Pokemon. Please do not.
Ugh. Yeah.
Well, granted, pretty sure Cuties is not a Netflix property. It was made by some French studio a long time ago, and then Netflix just bought the property. But again,
I think
bad on them for buying the property.
Well, I think they bought the property without realizing what was attached to it, which is all that awful shit, right? Like, I think it was. I'm not defending it for the record, but what I'm saying is I think it was literally just a case of stupidity in that instance, which is most companies, to be honest. But yeah, like I enjoyed Detective Pikachu for what it was, right? And we know that there is at least some sort of other project planned for live action Pokemon at some point.
I heard that there is something maybe related to Red and Blue.
Exactly. Like, I think we heard that there's a movie based on like the actual game, like mainline games, but a Netflix live action series, I'm not like a hundo on the idea, because other than like I think The Witcher, I think they've been pretty miss in terms of live action adaptations. So
I mean, that's literally a meme, like anime, or it's like manga anime adaptation, Netflix adaptation.
Oh, right.
Absolute garbage. Yeah. So I mean, it's again potential, but I know Netflix isn't gonna do it right. I'd rather someone else do it. Hell, when Pokemon Sun and Moon was on Disney, maybe let some Disney guy work on it. Why not?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Have you seen
that was a weird decision for them to put it on Disney, but
I think the idea there was they were kind of getting screwed by Cartoon Network in the time slots, because Cartoon Network airs nothing but Teen Titans Go, and so with the Sun and Moon anime, they were just like, fuck this is going to Disney, like
I guess Netflix has it now. I forgot about that. They have Journeys and Master Journeys, don't they?
Yep.
But yeah, again, like, I don't know. I just associate Pokemon and Cartoon Network. Don't know why. I just do.
I mean, they've been airing on Cartoon Network for years, so Like,
I
it
think
makes
before,
sense.
was it like CW Kids or 4 Kids or something
Yeah, it
before
was
that?
Kids
But that was
WB.
before my time. That was before my time. So,
Yeah.
and just, I don't know, if you do it, if Netflix does it, please do it right. I really don't want to have to hear LS Mark or someone saying Pokemon is a bad movie.
Yeah, right.
Like
So, have you seen
I want it to do good.
have you seen any of the screenshots from the live action Cowboy Bebop show that they're working on?
Uh, I haven't even seen the original Cowboy Bebop, so I didn't even know this was a thing.
Oh, yeah. So, Netflix is making a live action Cowboy Bebop show, and
Okay.
they released some screenshots of it today, ironically enough. And visually it looks great. Like, the character designs are on point. They have Ein the dog. I love the dog. He's a good boy. He's a corgi, which I love. But
Hmm.
and a big thing for the original Cowboy Bebop. I know you said you haven't seen it, so I won't go on for too long. But a big selling point of that show is the music. It has phenomenal music.
Yeah.
They got the original composer to come on for the live action series, which is a huge deal for fans. Like, that is unironically, like, if they were to do a Pokemon series and they got Masura to make the music, that's how big of a deal it is, right? Like, that
Yeah.
it's a vital component of it for people, right?
Maybe they're getting better. It's just,
Well, that's what I'm
the
saying is, like,
combination of
I hope,
Netflix and anime. Just,
right, but then
it's
because when you have stuff like
evolution.
this specifically wasn't Netflix, but when you have Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson, or the Death Note movie that was on Netflix, which was fucking trash. like
Was that even produced by Netflix or just on Netflix?
it's on Netflix. They and to be fair, the Death Note movie, they did great casting for Rook. I thought that was a great casting call. They got Willem Dafoe to do it, and he does a great job. But the rest of that movie sucks, so I don't want more of that. Don't do that again. So, I guess what
Maybe
I'm
Netflix
really,
is changing for the better.
yeah, right. Maybe
We'll see when Cowboy Bebop comes out.
yeah, hopefully it's good. That's all I'm saying. Like, it looks, Cowboy Bebop looks cool, and if Pokemon turns out to be true, that hopefully that looks cool, right? So,
All right, so the last two bits of news, well, it's not really news, it's just games that have come out in the month. So we already talked about Skyward Sword. The other games I'm not really too interested in, but the ones I wanted to particularly touch on were Monster Hunter Stories 2. I'm not a Monster Hunter guy, but this is the type of game that I might be a little bit more interested in than traditional Monster Hunter, because it's more of just like a RPG. Did you pick this one up, or are you a Monster Hunter guy?
no, not at all. I was going to get Rise, and then I just didn't have the time, and so, like, I missed the hype train on that. And then when Stories came around, and I saw the gameplay at E3, like, they were playing it on, like, the Treehouse Live or whatever,
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, like, it didn't look that fun to me. So, I hear people are loving it, though, so good for them. It's
Yeah, I'm not a huge Monster Hunter guy, so it's if I have time, and maybe if I'm like at a GameStop or whatever, I'm just like, maybe I'll pick it up. And maybe if it's like on sale or something, or I'll probably download it or something, just whenever it goes on sale, just to try it out. But it's not something that I'm too interested in.
yeah, same.
I think Doki Doki Literature Club Plus came out in
Yes.
July, maybe. I obviously, that was a viral game, so whether or not it was good, whatever. I mean, I like Undertale. That's a viral game. Minecraft as well. But I've never played Doki Doki, and it was one of those viral games that I missed. I didn't watch like Jack or Mark or PewDiePie play them. All I know is that somehow the characters are 18 plus and they're just fucking over sexualized, but okay. But the game, it's a nice, it's very interesting in concept, just like the whole Monica, like, meta hacking thing, and
Yeah.
the whole meme, like, where she's looking for you, the player, specifically, not just MC. So and of course, like I said, I've never played it before. Like, literally, probably at the time, when it was like when it was the original game was like being new or starting to become popular. I didn't have a computer, or if I did, I had a Surface Pro, so I'm definitely not going to play it. So now that it's on consoles, it's definitely something I will be picking up just whenever I have the time, because it sounds like it's a pretty large time sink, because it is a storybook game, just like Danganronpa.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Do you have any experience with Doki Doki?
Weirdly enough, I totally missed like the hype cycle on it, and yet I played it exactly when the hype cycle was happening. Like. Like, it was so weird. I just saw it on Steam one day, and I was like, oh, like a cute, cuddly, free game, right?
No.
Like, I'm not feeling those tags. I don't know why the horror tag is in there, but, maybe I figured it was trolling, because Steam can do that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I have another story exactly like this, that exact same setup and everything, and then when I got to that part, I was like, oh. Like,
okay, spoiler warning right here for like 5 minutes. First of all, which one's your favorite girl? Just
I have a soft spot for what's her name? The short, light pink hair one. Not the best friend one.
Sayori or Natsuki?
It's Natsuki. Not the okay. It's not the best friend.
The main one is Monica.
Yep.
The one, I guess, apparently that has like a problem with her boobs is Yuri. The really, really short one is Natsuki, which also meme Buffsuki, and she randomly like glitches out and becomes buff. And then Sayori is your best friend.
Yeah. So Natsuki is the one I like.
Yeah. I think I like her too, but I was just saying from like a character perspective. But anyway. I assume that part is the one where Sayori.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. Okay.
I was like, oh, oh, this is.
Especially because like at this point you're like kind of getting used to the characters, and you're learning more about them, and then they just completely drop that on you, and it's just like fuck.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I downloaded the wrong game, like, and I played it to completion, but like when I went into my DMs with my friends, and I'm like, guys, help! I don't know what the fuck I downloaded, but I hate it.
Like the first half of the game is just like a normal storytelling game, and you get to know the characters, but once you know that Monica has like been tampering with the files, I feel like you just lose that connection with the characters, because they're now just entities in Monica's story, and it's like after the first half of the game, when you see her do that, you kind of have to tear up a little bit, because this is like someone you've been going along with for the ride, just like any other character.
Right.
But then in the post the second half of the game, when everything just turns to shit and turns into code, essentially, you're just like, oh, I have no connection to any of these characters at all.
Right. See, that's the thing. I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't know. Like, I was enjoying the cute cuddliness of it, like how overly sweet it was, right? And then it just like it took a fucking turn, dude. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with a darker story, because like honestly, like in visual novels at least, you don't get subject matter like depression usually. So I thought, oh, this is actually like a really cool thing they're doing. And then they drop that Sayuri moment on you, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
And then, and I beat the whole game, so I got all the secrets and everything like that. So I see the ending and, the reveal of, only Monica or whatever, right? But like, but I don't know. I wish, honestly, like there was just a cute, cuddly version of that game. Like.
I mean, there's something like that, but it goes a little past the cute and cuddly stage, but we don't talk about that.
I mean, if that's what people are into, I play visual novels all the time. I get it. There's going to be that stuff in those games. I've
actually come to learn that there's a lot of like animes that originated as visual novels, and I had no idea. Like one of my favorite animes of all time is Nichijou.
Oh,
started as a visual novel.
My Ordinary Life, Nichijou.
Yes.
Yes, my boy knows Nichijou. Let's go.
That's my favorite anime. of
Oh
all
god.
time.
I I
Just
I'm tempted to ask
rip
you to
the
just
animation.
right here cut just cut away from us and just play the entire intro from beginning to you'll get yeah, right. Like yeah. Don't actually
Yeah.
do that. You'll get in trouble. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But
But
like
no, first of
oh.
all, rip that animation studio, but also shout out to another animation studio, Trigger. They're celebrating their 10th anniversary right now.
Oh, let's
Shout out to
go.
them too. But anyway, just a lot of animes I've come to realize that started off as like visual novels. Another anime that I started to like that someone recommended to me was Nekopara. But then I found out
Oh.
it also originated as a visual novel, but it was some other kind of visual novel.
Yeah, right. It was a
I had no
little
idea
different.
because the anime is just pure wholesome, and then you go back to this and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Nekopara sure like again, I get it. A lot of visual novels are in that, they have more risque material, right? Like I get it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But like sometimes you just want something cute and cuddly and not that cuddly, like yeah, a little too
Totally
cuddly.
good, dude. Anyway, back to DDLC Plus. Did you pick that up, or are you not
Mm-mm.
going to?
No, like I
Maybe
played
for
the
the side
original game
story.
and I was like, you know what? I had my experience. I can't like mentally I don't really handle that stuff super well.
Yeah.
So I needed to just like I had my experience. I beat the whole thing. No offense to the dev team, you're all wonderful. I'm gonna move on to play
Yeah.
something that doesn't make me sad.
I never played it, the original, so I definitely gonna play this one.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the side stories are pretty good too, so I'll probably check those out.
Hell yeah.
And I think it's sequel baiting too. So,
Ooh, interesting.
um, since we're on the topic of depression, have you ever? It sounds so weird to say, but okay. Um, did you play Amori?
No, I'm told I should. I'm told I would like
Yes,
it.
please, please do. I haven't got to play it yet. I was gift. You know who Your Pal Ral is?
I don't think so.
He's a Let's Play YouTuber. I recommend you check him out. Um, he's really fun. But he played Omori for his 10th anniversary. Um, and I watched his playthrough as well as Nico B's playthrough actually, and it became just so good. It's like Earthbound, and it doesn't go as far as because Undertale is more like meta,
Mm-hmm.
while this game is more like heavily into this. Like Undertale is like trying to be funny, like the
Mm-hmm.
whole time. It's like messing around with obviously like Monica does that too, but it's more serious.
Right.
But with Undertale, it's just making a joke of it. This is like serious all the way through. There's no meta-ness to it, and it gets very dark.
Mm-hmm.
So
I might check it out then.
I don't like obviously like you said you don't really do too well with the depression type stuff, but the
It,
storytelling is really good.
that's the thing is if the storytelling is good, I'll at least be able to appreciate that. And I know I said I don't do too well with the dark stuff, but like we mentioned earlier, I could handle DDLC. So like if it's anything like that, I'll probably be fine, right? Like
It's essentially like that. It has like a colorful facade, and then once you get to the real game, it gets a little dark.
mhm.
So, and that really, I don't know if I should say it. I'll tell you that there's two routes in the game,
Okay.
but I don't really know if you'll need to play both of them. It basically follow the same line. You just miss. So like if you take one route, you just miss a little bit of content on
Gotcha.
one or the other route. But they're essentially the same thing, and I recommend doing both. But just letting you know, most people tend to miss that aspect of it. That there are two routes.
Okay.
That's
I'll
something.
keep that in mind then when I try it.
Yeah. But actually, your Power Out gifted me the game, so I
Oh,
haven't
nice.
been able to check it out. I really want to.
Hell yeah, dude.
Even though I watched him play the game, I want to play it myself. So.
I feel you.
All right, last thing. We're almost done here. Sorry for holding you so long.
I'm good, dude. I'm chilling. No problem.
Our synergy is awesome. Like I had a lot of fun today.
Yeah, same.
Um, the last game, Pokemon Unite. you checked it out?
I was going to, and then I saw the stuff on Twitter that like their social media manager is kind of a shitty person, and I'm like,
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
oh yeah.
I did
So
not hear that.
they did one of those moments of someone at, okay, first of all, what this person did is not super appropriate to do, but tweeted at them and said, "Oh, can you say gay lives matter," or something like that. And they said, "Well, actually all lives matter," in response. And I'm like, ooh, all right. Like,
Okay.
the idea, can you say gay rights matter or whatever? The idea is that gay people are oppressed, therefore they do not have the same privileges that, many straight white males have, right? And so the idea behind something like, can you say blank blank matters? It means, hey, we would like appreciation and love in the same way. That's all it means.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean put me above others. It means put me at equal with others. That's the idea. And when someone says something like all blank matters, obviously, but it's dismissive. It implies that everything is already fine and that nothing needs to be changed. But that's why I was like iffy on it, because like I saw that, and then the Pokemon Company was like, just don't do.
I did not. Was it from his like personal account, or was it?
No, it was the developer account.
Okay.
Yeah. So
if it was like his own personal account, then
like it's fucked up, but like
maybe, but like
well,
yeah, but wow, okay,
yeah,
sure. I didn't know that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail and turn it into that.
No.
Have you played Pokemon Unite at all?
So initially when last year it was announced, like, okay, I'll just tell you the whole story. So the first Pokemon Presents happens, a week before the Unite one. I was like, oh my god, Pokemon Snap, whatever else that was announced in that video. And then they're like, tune in next week for another one. I'm like, oh shit, like we might even get another mainline series game. And then the whole fucking presentation, which first of all, the night before I had a really bad experience. Something happened with my friend. And we were like, he came over, we were up all night, and then something happened. I don't really want to get into it. We were up all night, and I was like kind of excited for the presents, and so we watched it, and then I was tired, I was upset from the night before, and we were, and the whole presentation was a slog because it was just them playing this, what looked to be at the time like a shitty mobile game, especially because they're like, oh, it's releasing on Switch and mobile devices. I'm just like, ugh, like I don't need to watch this. Like, and I sucked through all the way because, Tiny Brain was expecting something else to happen, but lo and behold, it didn't. Anyway, I was just completely like, I never played League or anything like that, so I was just like, I don't really care that much. But then I downloaded it because I was gonna cover it for a video, just like a one-off thing. And I played it. I was like, damn, this is actually pretty fun. Like it's basically League for kids, but it kind of goes hard. And there's like a ton of like different cosmetic things, which I haven't even delved into because that requires like a lot of like microtransactions and stuff. But it's a decent game. It looks good. I think. Oh no, it was made by Tencent, not Bandai, but Tencent obviously made their game look better than the actual Pokemon Company.
Oof.
And same could be said. I mean, fucking Pokemon Snap is beautiful, but
I mean, to be fair, it's not hard to outdo.
Why is Game Freak not?
It's not hard to outdo Game Freak when Game Freak is pushed to the fucking edge every year to make a new Pokemon game. So
I don't get it.
It's money, dude. It's just money. Pokemon Company wants those yearly releases, but they want those yearly releases to be giant 15 to 20 hour RPGs. It doesn't work like that, homie.
And I don't know, like, obviously we want to blame the Pokemon Company, but we have to remember that Game Freak and Pokemon Company are still technically separate. Like,
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's Pokemon Company asking for this stuff. Game Freak, the developers, if you give them the time, they can make something great. The problem is they want, now they're asking for almost yearly console releases. and no time to make them. And it's like, I guarantee Pokemon Legends Arceus, that was meant to come out this year. I guarantee it. Because that was meant to be the November title. The big title this year was meant to be the giant open world Pokemon game, right? Like there's no way you open 2022 with that, right? Like, that's a weird thing, right?
And I think them outsourcing to Ilka is actually a good decision. Like, obviously, I expect a lot more of the remakes, but that's besides the point. But letting Ilka do the game that people want, and then letting Game Freak sort of experiment and do things differently, I think that's a good idea.
It is. I agree. Get more companies involved. Do, as weird as this sounds, kind of do a little bit, and I mean a little bit, of what Activision does, where they have 3 companies cycling your mainline series. So you get a little something this year, a little something next year, a little something the year after that. But all these companies are getting proper development time. You're given like 2.5 years to fully develop a game, right? Like,
I mean,
while also
have
having
Ilka,
your
maybe,
steady stream of releases. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe you have Ilka make future remakes, maybe future Let's Go titles, and then Game Freak can work on the main series games and maybe make them bigger, better. Because
right.
Obviously, Legends Arceus is more of like it's not a spin-off, but it's like on par with like XD Coliseum. It's like partially main series, but like it's not Generation 9. It's not
right.
So the next generation is more than, I hope it probably won't be, but I hope it's like the next, like the Sword and Shield. All things considered, it's a 3DS game, but just the wild area.
Right.
So I think that Generation 9 needs to be that big next generation traditional Pokemon game that's entirely open world. I mean, it needs to be, but will it be? No. But what I think they could do is that they can have Ilka work on remakes, because they can be working on it as soon as Diamond and Pearl is out. They can work on Let's Go Johto, or they can work on or Black and White or something.
Right.
And then they can have Game Freak work on story, mechanics, structure.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can have Bandai Namco work on the visuals, because they know they're gonna do a good job at that.
Right.
And if you combine, it saves time. It still allows you to have those yearly releases, and it allows you to also produce higher quality games, because you're having different teams work on different elements,
right.
And you're also having a different team work on an entirely separate game. So you can still, you can have 2 years to work on a game rather than 1.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying is, like, I didn't play Gen 7 and I didn't play Sword and Shield. The last Pokemon games I played was Pokemon Y. That was the last mainline game I bought. And that was because Gen 7 just, it didn't impress me. I'm not hating on those games. Those games did try to mix up the formula a little bit, and I appreciate that. Yeah. But it didn't look super fun to me. And then I hear they're heavily tutorialized, which is, I understand why, but like a little too much hand-holding is what I hear as a main complaint of that game, right? And then Sword and Shield get announced, and I'm like, God, why does this look awful?
Yeah.
Like on 3DS.
I was expecting, like, this is the Switch. Like, we're finally on consoles for a mainline game.
Right.
And they just released another 3DS game, and that's why I'm hoping Gen 9's a lot bigger and a lot better. But just, again, I bought every single game coming up, and I enjoyed myself. I had a good time with all of them. But X and Y and ORAS are, like, my favorite. It's my favorite generation of all time. It's, it's classic Pokemon. Everyone loves Mega Evolution. Most people like Mega Evolution. I shouldn't say everyone, but most people prefer that over fucking Dynamax. And then, but again, Sun and Moon, number one, art style. X and Y is fine, because it's like a mix between pixels, but in 3D, essentially the same thing. Which is, and then after that, they started to become more modern, and it's okay. It's a clean art style, but it's not what I want. It's not Pokemon. And especially because when I look at Legends Arceus, like, you have the models and then you have the world, and they clash. They clash a lot, and they clash in Sun and Moon, Legends Arceus, and like Diamond and Pearl. Even though people like to critique that game a whole lot, it's just a lot cleaner. It mashes together really well. It looks like a complete thing. But with the mainline games, including Arceus, it's just dissonance everywhere.
Right.
And
that's
again, all the games are still fun. They're just
like visually.
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, like visually, technically, and from what I understand, story-wise, Sword and Shield fell really short. Like
a lot of people like the Sun and Moon story.
Yeah.
But I feel like X and Y is also kind of unfinished too because they were planning on making a Z, and that just never happened. But the story is more or less complete. Sword and Shield, there's a lot of elements from even classic Pokemon games that are missing. Like the entirety of the evil team is just non-existent. Team Yell is not an evil team. And the fucking, I don't even know what they're called, the Cosmo team or whatever they're called, the German Rose guy.
Yeah.
You don't see them until the end of the game. And, obviously in most Pokemon games, you have that big encounter at the end of the game, but you don't see them at all. And in Sun and Moon, it's basically Sun and Moon, but like stripped down of like everything that made Sun and Moon good to most people.
Right.
Because it's the same, you have a stupid evil team and then you have an actual evil team, but you see the original evil team from the beginning.
Right.
In Sword and Shield, it's just like, oh, I guess there's a thing that's happening now in the middle of your adventure. Okay, sure.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
And then you don't even see it.
That's what I'm saying. I was about to mention that a lot of the time the story is, oh my god, thing is happening over there. You have to run over, and it's already done by the time you're there.
And it's like, oh, I deal with it. I'm Leon. I'm cool.
Yeah, right. And it's like the idea that any game does that in a story irks the shit out of me like you wouldn't believe. If I played a Final Fantasy game and every single story beat happened off screen and then I was just told what happened, people would lose their fucking minds. And they did, because Final Fantasy 15 did that. It has legitimate moments of the game where the game cuts and you just wake up later and there like something happened off screen that you're told about. And you're like, what happened? Oh, I have to buy the DLC to figure that out. And it's like, why? Why?
What the hell? It's like if Final Fantasy VII, like randomly, all of your teammates or your party members just get cut off from the team, and it's just you, Cloud and Sephiroth, and they have like an epic anime battle, but instead you play as Tifa, and you come back and you're like, and then you meet up with Cloud again, and Sephiroth's dead.
Yeah, right. Like, what happened here? Oh, stuff. Hanging out.
It's just, if X and Y was unfinished, but it felt complete, Sword and Shield definitely felt incomplete. Like, it was just it wasn't done. It had a lot of potential. It's just not done.
That's
needed more time in the cooker.
Yeah, right. And a lot of people say, like, oh, Game Freak and Pokemon Company were brave for not doing the full Pokedex. And it's like, they weren't brave. They didn't have time. They literally couldn't do it. Like,
I may not agree with, because
no, but
they're literally just used the 3DS model.
I'm not going to start throwing out, Dexit. Like, it was, what bothered me about not having the Pokedex isn't that they didn't have them all. Like, I don't care about that. It was the fact that they just weren't upfront that the reason they couldn't is because they wanted those games out this year or when they were new, right? Like,
and I agree with you. Like, I don't care about the whole national dex. I mean, obviously, like, I would like to bring my Pokemon over, especially because they're hyping Pokemon Home around this time. Mm-hmm. Like, I would kind of like to have my old, like, I still have like all of my Mons from the X and Y days, like my original playthrough. I still have all those Mons. My first shiny, I can't even bring it over.
Right.
I can't bring it over to the new games because it won't let me.
Right.
And that's the only thing that sucks about it. But like, I'm not one of those people that is gonna fucking get the whole Pokedex again. But another thing that I do like about what Sword and Shield is doing is that we are kind of getting more Pokemon slowly over time, and I like that. Because a lot of people do praise the DLC for being a lot better than the main game.
It's so because they had time to work on it.
That's why I think a lot of people are more excited for Legends Arceus, because it's not, It's doing what the DLC did. It's allowing them to experiment. It's allowing them to do different things with it, like the DLC did.
And that's the thing is like,
back to the
is like I was really down on Legends Arceus when it was first announced. And I was talking to my friend about this. They really need to emphasize the still in development thing. Don't just put a little blurb at the bottom of the screen, please. Like, actually say, look, this is what we are working on. It is early. This is early as hell, dude. But we want to give you a taste of what it is, right? But then it comes.
I feel like they do that with everything, though. Like, I feel like someone had to have complained about that with Smash. Like, I don't know. What about the E3 renders for Smash Ultimate? Like,
oh god, those E3 Mario. Renders were hilarious. No one
said anything.
Yeah,
no one said anything.
Okay, to be fair, Smash, if Pokemon was announced, looked like shit, but they said every single Pokemon is coming back, people would immediately blow up. They'd be like, yeah, let's go. Looks like shit, but yo, all my Pokemon. Smash did that exactly. They said, oh, we're kind of looking goofy right now, but everyone's back, so there you go. But anyway, my point was, with Legends Arceus, what I appreciate, I'm not hype on the game now, but I'm more positive on the game because they're, like you said, experimenting. They're doing something different, a little bit new, but they're keeping the traditional like catching and battling system, right? Like
that's another thing too. Like the two core things about Pokemon are the battles and the catching.
Mm-hmm.
And the battles are sort of contextualized with the gyms, and the catching is contextualized with the Pokedex. Because we're in 2021 and there's about 400 billion different types of Pokemon, different forms and shit, and you can't even collect them all in one game. It sort of devalues catching them all, which is what Pokemon's slogan is. And that's why I'm excited for Legends Arceus, because it contextualizes catching Pokemon again.
Right.
And because it is a smaller dex, it allows you to actually do it.
Right.
And especially because it's, contextualizing it with the first Pokedex, it's almost perfect. And it's the same thing that Let's Go did as well. The only problem is I'm tired of seeing Kanto.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
tired of seeing Kantomons. But again, with Legends Arceus, it allows you to the Hisuian forms, for example, or everything else. It contextualizes that aspect of Pokemon that has been lost.
I have to say, alternate region forms of Pokemon is the smartest fucking idea they've ever had. Like,
yes,
I hated it in Alola because it was only Gen 1 Pokemon. And then in Sword and Shield, it was still mostly Gen 1 Pokemon, but they started opening up a little bit. They said, okay, there's some others in here.
The Hisuian forms I think there's one Gen 1 Pokemon. I think
exactly.
Just Rowlet.
Hisuian, one Gen 1. That's it. Just one. So far. Just one. And it's like, yes, please. Like, diversify. One of the best parts about Detective Pikachu as a movie, it's not all Gen 1. Like, thank you.
And
like,
the only thing I don't like about them is that I hope that they don't replace Mega Evolution. Obviously, it seems like Mega Evolution is dead. We don't really know if it's in Diamond and Pearl yet. They didn't say one way or the other until we play it.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the one feature that I hope they don't put to the wayside. Because Dynamax, yeah, that's cool, but keep that in Galar. Like, that is Galar's thing. You don't need that in any other region. Same thing with Z-Moves. That was basically like a gym badge for their region. Keep that in Alola. Mega Evolution should be universal. It should be able to be used anywhere. It's used in Kanto, Hoenn, and Hylos. I want to see it back, and it allows you to do like the Hisuian forms. It allows you to have different forms of Pokemon just in a different context. And
right.
That's what I like about Mega Evolution. Mostly is the design of the Pokemon, because you can do fucking outlandish things with Mega Evolution, but with Hisuian forms, you take the original Mon, unless you're doing a new evolution, in which case that's kind of what they've been doing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But you take the original Mon and you change it just a little bit, like
right. Like it's just a small, subtle way to mix things up, and that's the thing. Megas, Z moves, and Dynamaxing and all that. Mechanically, they all try to fill the same role, but there's like a difference, right? Like I didn't like I like the idea of megas, but again, they stuck to Gen 1 Pokemon and Gen 6 Pokemon. And like that's cool, but like I wish you did something else with it, right? And like that's where Let's Go and Hoenn Oros came in, right? They helped mix it up a little bit more, right? But then Z moves happen, and I'm like, all right, like
it all away.
Yeah, right. Like you just made Pikachu do a silly, fun animation, I guess. All right, neat. And then and now it's like, oh, now Pikachu, big fat boy, and I'm like, yeah. But like, I mean, that's cool, but like, it's this mechanically, it's like the same thing. It's like it's just you just made him look chunky as shit, and it's like that's cute.
Yeah,
it'll look great on Twitter, but like, I'm not like hyped to play, like, you know, like
everyone forgot about Ash Greninja too. That was a cool idea.
Oh yeah, that was neat.
I mean, and it was even cooler that you get it from the demo, and it's implied that Ash gives it to Sun, which is awesome. I think, but
I don't know. There's a lot. I mentioned earlier they're doing subtle things that are different in Legends Arceus to freshen up things. And the idea of styles for Pokemon attacks is so good. And on top of that,
I don't really understand that yet.
So the idea is basically make the move weaker, but you get to move first. Or make the move stronger, and it takes longer for your turn to come back up again. So this is really weird. They basically just aped Final Fantasy X, because that's exactly what that game does. Certain moves... You have a turn order.
So it's not a Pokemon speed, it's a move speed.
Correct, basically. So basically, you'll see the turn order over here on the side, right? And you can scroll down the list to see who's next, right? And the faster you are, the more turns you can get, question mark, or quote, right? So if you use a faster style, like the agile style or whatever they called it, your turn order will go up, but you'll do less damage. So that's the idea. It's to add like a small metagame to it, right? And that's
another thing that people were complaining about is the battle system is boring. Here we go. There you go.
And that's the thing is like when Final Fantasy became a fucking action series, I hated it because you were already turning out cool ass turn-based RPGs. I know people don't like 13. I like 13. Fuck you. But like when 15 came out, it was just an action game. It was just Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, I don't want Kingdom Hearts. I would play Kingdom Hearts if I wanted Kingdom Hearts. Like,
see, I've been having this thing where I've always grown up with turn-based. So Mario and Luigi, newer Paper Marios. I haven't played the classics yet. Super Paper Mario is different. That doesn't count. And the original Pokemon games, and I was always, accustomed to that. So then when I played Kingdom Hearts, I'm like, I'm doing this myself now. Like, it was a whole new world. Whoa. And then when I started to play Xenoblade Chronicles, I was just like, I was like expecting to play like Kingdom Hearts, but it's like a mash between the two, and I got even more confused.
Yeah.
And then I watched Chugga Conroy's playthrough of Chrono Trigger, and I was like, okay, so it's kind of turn-based, but
there's like a timer.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
And that's the thing, right? Is there's so many different flavors of RPG that when you just make it an action RPG, which there are thousands of that exist, to me, I'm just like, I'm bored. I don't want that. Like, I like selecting my I like strategizing ahead of time, right? Like, that's why I love Persona. There's so many metagames in metagame in metagame in metagame. Like, I love the cycle of it all, right? And and the characters and the story and stuff, right? But like the
action
game
RPG, you just whatever strong you hit with,
right?
And games that are a little more complex, like Persona, you got to strategize. You got to think about, what is this enemy weak to? Pokemon, it's the same thing, but the game literally tells you super effective. Okay.
Yeah, right. Well, it was only Gen 7 that did that, right?
Yeah, but if you knew your types,
right. Once you know your types, you're good. Like
with Persona, you have to like. Sometimes it's even contextualized. Like if you have like I think if I remember correctly from watching Persona 4 Golden, if you have an enemy type, like not just like if it's fire, you put water on it. It's like if it, contextualizes some moves, right? If,
Yeah.
Like, I guess not like type based or element based, more like context based, right?
Right. So in Persona 4, at least, a lot of enemies have weaknesses and resistances, right? So just like Pokemon, but the difference is there's far less types, as it were, right, or elements. But just because the enemy has like a head of fire or something like that, that doesn't mean use ice magic. It just means it means it probably uses fucking fire magic. That's all it means. So its weakness could be wind or electric or psychic or something like that, right? Like it's I appreciate that more, because you don't just get sucked into a pattern of, like, for example, how Pokemon players back in the day were blown away that Sudowoodo is not a grass type. Like like
oh my, I played through Heart Gold Soul Silver recently, and I literally thought it was grass, and I was like,
yes,
why is it? And like I knew it was rock too, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
They fucking tricked you, dude. they got you. They got you. But like that's what I'm talking about, right? Like Pokemon doesn't do anything like that. You see a bird and you're like, great, I'm gonna zap this thing and turn it into extra crispy real quick. Like
Alolan, I mean the new forms allow you to do these types of things. For example,
exactly.
Growlithe. They're like, oh, it's a fire, right? Nope, it's rock.
Yeah, it's this cute ass boy is a rock type. Let's go. Like,
yeah,
good dog.
All right, well, I know that we have a lot to talk about. Hell, I might even bring you on. We can just have an RPG discussion one day.
Oh, dude.
But I do have to go. I have a meeting with my therapist. So, again, hope Highland gets better, but you were a great replacement today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again. But before we end, don't forget to, first of all, go follow Rob RMNX and subscribe to him on YouTube and Twitch. I will leave the link in the description below. You can find him there, and he's always in the chat on Today's News Tonight.
Oh yeah,
that's where I found him. So.
Thanks for having me on, by the way, man. I had a lot of fun chatting it up with you tonight.
And if you want to be just like Rob RMNX, you can join the Discord. The link is in the description below. You can talk to him. You can talk to me. We can talk about games. You can be on the show if you want to be. We're always looking for new, fresh opinions. Again, the link is in the description below. And don't forget to find us on other podcast sites such as Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio, and more. Again, thank you so much, Rob, for joining me today. And I hope you enjoyed yourself. And
yeah,
that's
for sure.
Gonna be it. Bye.
Have a good night, everyone.